Hi guys, my name is Isabella.
And I'm Nkubongi on Twitter.
A big wrist. And this is
Our Collective Pod. What's our Collective Pod about?
all of us collective in one place.
Anyways, our Collective Pod is tailored towards the Gen Z community.
Yeah.
And what do you say about 30 plus people?
Stay away.
No, wait, relax. Because you can learn some things from us, and you can also, in the comment section on one of these pages.
Maybe we can feature you people, few episodes.
Just beg us.
You think about it. But I mean, on this show, we're going to be talking about so many things that pertain to being a Gen Z in this age and time. So, I mean, everything from relationship to identity to life to every basic thing, that you want to hear. This is the show for it.
Proper show for you. All right.
So, do you agree with me that Gen Zs are the most misunderstood generation ever?
Yeah, def.
Why do you think so?
I mean, like, everyone on Twitter, everyone around, everyone, Gen Z this, Gen Z that, Gen Z did. Maybe there's something they're not getting. I don't know. So, it's like there's this spectacular complaints they have for that generation alone. Yeah. So, definitely there's something they're not getting, right? They're trying to relate with them like the same way they relate with other generation, and I don't think that works. I mean, it's not working, right? So I think that they misunderstand them a lot.
But I think one of the major issues is the fact that Gen Zs are actually not that bad. We are not that bad. No, really, we're not that bad. Yes, I get that, sometimes we can be a bit extreme, we can be a bit laid back, and we have all of these like street vibes. I want to be no, but a bit is not good, but okay. I feel like we're not as bad as people paint us to be.
Yeah.
So I feel like sometimes what people do is they pick out like one person out of 10, and then they use that one person to qualify the entire generation. Yeah. Like this morning, so it rained this morning, and in the afternoon, a friend of mine like shared a tweet with me, right? And the tweet was saying that so the Gen Z generation or the Gen Z people or like a group of Gen Zs are in their house, sending HR message that they're going to be late to work because it rained. And I'm here like, it rained. Even like baby boomers cannot get to work early because it rained. Please, what did we do?
First of all, on this, I think that's generalization anyways, because don't they think about their salaries too? Do you think they're going to actually do what the person said they were doing?
Actually.
Like,
to be honest, so I feel like Gen Zs can be very audacious. We really we're not bound by rules as much as the other generation is, So we like to explore, we like to test the boundaries. That's what I like to see. We don't think in the box. So we like to test the rules to the end. Like, what's the worst that you would do? What's the worst that will happen? You fire me, tomorrow I'll get a better job.
So you're trying to glamorize the laid backness form of,
don't get me
saying
wrong.
They are courageous, courage I do not lack.
Well, so it can be a good thing and a bad thing. So I think one of the things that we need to actually work on is finding that balance to it. So it's really amazing that there is a new set of people, there is a new breed of people out there that they are bold, they can take on new things, they can take on mountains, things that have never been done before, new inventions, we're pushing back and we're saying, we're not going to take this is what has been done, this is the norm, but there's a new way to do things. So I think we have to put that balance to it. As much as we want to test the waters and all of that, the values that should be there, we should not lose those values. So commitment, not being slothful in business, lasting power. Our generation, and we Gen Zs are long suffering. Don't ever use it in the same sentence. It's giving shackles. But we really need to find that balance in what we do. And I feel like one of the things that is really pushing us, that is testing that balance for us, is communication with older generation, right? So take church, for example. They need to understand that you can't speak to these younger people the way you spoke to people that are currently in their 70s or even 40s. It's not the same thing. You need to learn the language of the youth, So most times when you see Gen Zers, when you see us doing certain things and you think we are acting out, we're actually not acting out. It's just that the same message, you can find a way to say that same thing to us, but in a language that we really understand,
It doesn't lose its power.
Exactly. Right? It doesn't lose its power. I mean, we don't listen to the same. How many young people actually listen to country music or rock music? We don't really listen to that.
Same kind of music.
We don't listen to the same kind of music. We don't read the same kind of books. We don't even speak. There's been like a modification in our language in that sense. So I feel like for the church to really capture the young people, for you to really speak to that generation, you have to learn the best way to speak to us. So you can't just, it's like when the Bible says you can't put new wine into old skin. You can't speak to a new generation with old language. You have to learn the language of these people, learn the things that actually keep them there. What do we want to hear? What do we like to see? When we go for events, what are the kind of events that tickles our fancy? And then we can tailor that in a way that these people, whatever it is they're going to look for out there, they can find it here. Because that's actually why people are, I don't want to say leaving church in that sense, but that's one of the reasons why you find Gen Zers at almost every other place aside from the synagogue, right? Because it is synagogue. It is too synagogue-ish. It's too serious for us. It's too temple-ish for us. Make it a community. We all want to be part of a working community. So make it a community. Bring in things that we do. Make it a lifestyle for us. And I think that's a major thing for us, lifestyle. We're big on that. So if this is what we do 6 days a week and all of that, make us want to do it every other day of the week. So whatever it is, whatever language you're speaking to us, whatever songs you're singing, even the presentation. Let me come to church on Sunday and they are doing like a very amazing art stuff. They're doing an exhibition or something. They're doing like a conference or a concert and it's so chilled and all of that. I want to bring my friends. People want to come.
That's nice. So I think that church needs to, find a new approach, right?
Yeah.
Like it's very important and pertinent because, look at now. I was giving you statistics, I think last week or some weeks ago, rather. I was telling you that an average Gen Zer, right? Look at me now. If I pick my phone now, what I would do is I'll just be scrolling. I'll just be checking stuff. Now imagine, right? Like we push like amazing content, like different spheres, arts content. Our makeup artists are doing like beautiful stuff. Amazing work. Our preachers are actually communicating the word in beautiful ways and very relatable ways with our generation, right? If we're having that, like as I'm scrolling like this, I'm seeing all of that. There's no way I'm going to stumble on, the corrupt, in quotes, content that I'm not meant to see. So that builds me up, right? Imagine we all put full hands, like the old church, put our hands on the plow and just say, okay, well, let's begin to, speak to these people intentionally, understand their language, understand how, why am I even saying their, like I'm not part of
our language.
Understand our language, what we like to say, what we like to do, right? We are not trying to say to peddle, the word or make the word look very, very, very ineffective. But what we have to do is to, push that power, right? If the power is dynamic, push that power into the different things. Exactly. So, and right now, there are like a lot of talents and skills that are new. Yeah. Right, and we need to start investing in them. We need to invest people, right? Invest people into this kind of things. Get people into record labels. So that we will not want to be trying to copy,
Exactly.
And
we can't spend our time copying the template out there.
Yeah,
we can't spend
exactly.
Our time.
We need to start build our own.
Another thing I feel like the church really needs to do for us Gen Zers is to, so for lack of better words, I would say stop attacking. In that sense. So I know that it's you can't teach something without pointing out its evils or without pointing out its bad side in that sense. But I feel like our generation, we kind of run away from being scolded. Yeah. We don't really like being scolded, right?
Corrected.
So we don't like being corrected in that sense, So I feel like we need to find a way to speak to these people. But it's like this Yoruba proverb that says that when you beat a child with one hand, you pull the child closer with the other hand and all of that. So there has to be that balance.
But the thing is, Most times they just beat the child.
And then they throw us away.
Yeah.
And then they say we are bad. We are not bad. You are really throwing us into the gutters. Pick us back.
One of the ones that they're beating and they did not bring them back. And then they just said, well, I will soon bring it back, but let me just be beating you. What happens? Then they have to leave, right? So the thing is, we have to find a balance, right, between, correction and, judgment, right?
Yeah.
We need to be able to correct, but, like scripture says, speak the truth in love, right? One of the ways that people can get in, right? The best time to give me feedback is to tell me that, okay, go on, this is what, right, like you did. Right, I don't like what you did. I think you can get better. I think you can do it better. Not like, the other generation is, you don't do well, you didn't do well, get out, just leave, you get. So that approach worked. Why? Because of whatever the environment was, whatever the cloud was, or whatever
like
it was.
The older generation, to be honest, I feel like they had a wider threshold for certain things that we don't have.
So why is that?
I think it's the experiences, the things we've been exposed to.
Okay.
This generation, this thing is not working. You've moved on. It's like how people are jumping from relationship to relationship. It's not working. Please, this is move on. Other things in life. So the older generation, you hear our mother say stuff like, it's not working, but you have to still try. You have to build on it. You have to still see get the best out of it. So for sometimes it's like, I can't deal with all of this.
So is it a good thing?
So in itself, it's not a bad thing. You just constantly have to find that balance to it. Because there are actually times when you need to walk away from certain things. You need to walk away from certain situations. Yeah. So you constantly, have to strike that balance, which is the major thing I think our generation really lacks. We've tilted to the extreme end of the pendulum. Yeah. So, even for work. So a couple of months ago, somebody tweeted something and somebody posted something on Instagram about how she was trying to employ people and then the genders were being all of this and all of that, and she doesn't think she's going to employ genders anymore. They're very unreliable. You can't employ them. And I'm like,
wait, chill.
One like, not that bad.
Why conversations? I think that one of the most powerful tools of communication is speech, dialogue, right? In a civilized world that we are, it's very important, to trade ideas or trade emotions with people. And how can you do this? Through conversations. You must be able to express your thoughts, your mind about things, and that's the way we can actually articulate, what is going through our minds, right? So conversations are really important. We need to have it, right? So I can know what is wrong with you. So that I can know what is wrong with you, and so that I can know what is wrong with me, right? So conversations are really important, and that is why we're having conversations. Our conversations need to be had, really, really had. Thank you.
Another issue that I think is very prevalent with us, with genders, is the issue of gender identity, and people don't usually want to talk about it, because it's a very tricky one. If you will talk about it, you have to really talk about it. And it's a big deal. It's something that's crept into it. Like, you listen to some people say certain things about their gender and you're like, oh my God, this is such whacked mentality. Like, this is something.
I don't know where to start from. It's like, I was on Twitter like 3 days ago and I saw this babe. This one is an identity issue. She wore, I think, a mask that looked like she was a dog, and then she put like the on. No, I think it was a wolf. So she was like, she identifies as an inner wolf that that nobody can tell her anything. They make sounds that if I sit down and I want to communicate with this person, as in, I have to make this sound. So she goes like, woof, woof. Or,
how am I supposed to understand?
Woof. And in my head, I'm like, if you know this is what you are trying to communicate, why don't you just tell the person that, hey, bring me drink? Why are you saying woof, woof to bring me drink? Right? So I think that one, if you want to start that conversation, we are going to go on a very, very, very long. There are like about 68 different types.
I sent you a video last week on Instagram about these two best friends that they all of a sudden identify as demons.
Yeah. I think I saw. I didn't really watch it.
You woke up one beautiful sunny morning and you suddenly identified as a demon.
So what did they even say, like in the?
So the girls they were talking about how they went on this soul search thingy and they started to connect with their inner self, and they think they are more than just humans and there's something more spiritual for them, and when they start to connect with their inner demons, it wasn't them just. I think the ladies were probably depressed at some point.
Wow.
Because when they were talking, you could tell that these were people that they had like demons that they were battling. They had like issues, deep-seated issues that they were dealing with.
We know it's demons.
And instead of them to walk through it, they just decided to start identifying as the demons in their head, in that sense.
There's something they call gender dysphoria, right? Like that's the place where you get to when you feel like you are turning between like another gender. There are many conversations on this line. We can talk about gender stereotypes, which, quote and unquote, our generation we are choosing to not talk about, right? So they say things like, things are a social construct, gender is a social construct, and all. But the first question you ask them is this: how is it a social construct when you decide to switch gender based on stereotypes? So for instance, a guy feels like he's a woman. Why? Because he likes pink. Does that even make sense if you say it's a social construct, right? So at the so at the fabric of like your thought pattern and your thinking process, you are saying nonsense, right? Like, so I think the conversation is we need to actually sit down and have, first of all, logical conversations, right? Like, are you really thinking? Like, do you really think what you're saying makes sense, right? Or what do you think?
So I think for a lot of people, right, it's the first thing is to actually sit down and have conversations with these people, because how did you get to where you are right now? I mean, when I have conversations with people and they say certain things, first thing I like to ask them is your thought process. How did we end up here? Where did you start from? What really happened that took you from that pendulum where you started to where you're at right now? And I feel like sometimes when you start to have conversations with these people, you find out that at the end of the day, for some of them, so like we were saying earlier about how genders like swing to the extreme end of the pendulum. That's what it really is for most people. So because you don't want to be in a box, and people feel like gender is a box, you can't just put me in the box where I'm either a man or a woman. So you just fling out of that box, and then you are creating like an illusion for yourself. You're creating something different that is becoming socially acceptable, right? And because sometimes we don't want to scold the younger generation so that we don't lose them. We feel like let's accept certain things, but how much do we actually accept? Because everybody can just wake up tomorrow and identify as whatever it is that they want. So where's the balance? What's the pendulum that says this is what it is and this is what it isn't? Because if we actually give everybody that blank check, I mean, we already have thousands. We have people identifying as amputees. And these people are starting to cause physical harms to themselves because they identify as amputees.
So they like cut their...
They cut off parts of their body because this is what they identify. I can't remember the term for it. Yes. This is what they identify as. And so you wake up one morning and you feel like this wrist has to go. This leg has to go. I don't need it in that sense.
So how do they cook up these things in their head? Right? Like apart from the I want to do something different. I want to be eccentric. I don't think this thing fits me anymore. Do you think peer pressure is a big part also, right? Yes. I think that one of the dominant issues with our generation is the ability for peers to affect our resolve, right? Like we make a decision on something. In fact, the premise of our lack of making proper decision is based on peer pressure, right? Once we see another person doing this thing, without making it nice, or this thing looks like really nice, let me try it and stuff like that. So we begin to see like different things. Like, so there was this video that a friend sent to me about someone detransitioning, and the person was crying throughout. Like, God, what is happening? Like the person was using all of the bloopers and all the F words and all the vulgar and all of those statements, but like in the middle of everything, the person was really sad for the people they are going to first to change this thing, because they are not going to be fulfilled, right? They end up having like messed up lives. They are the one that spend most time in therapy, are the one that spend most time in psychology, they are the one that spend most time detached, and they will begin to lie that they are detached because people don't accept them. No, it's because they don't even know who they are anymore. Like they are beginning to have like so much confusion in their mind,
so,
right?
In the so-called search for who you
you
really
really
are,
are.
you're losing yourself.
Exactly. You've dabbled into things that are quite permanent and has changed your whole entire process.
Yeah.
And then to come back is hard.
Yeah.
And then you just keep going straight till you get depressed, and then you probably, commit suicide and all those kind of things. Right. And so one of the best ways to do this thing is that when you begin to think all of these things, because to be honest, around our environments, people begin to think about these things. I feel like I'm a woman inside, right? Have a conversation,
With
right?
the right people.
With the right
And
people.
that's
That one
where
is also
church really
important.
comes in.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why we need these people in
Yeah,
church. You
yeah.
know, we need them in communities where they can have open conversations.
conversation.
You know, I speak with certain people and they're like, I can't say these things I say to you to my mom. I can't say these things to some of my friends because they automatically just judge me or just label me some kind of way. So that's one of the reasons why I'm really keen on church building a conducive environment where we can have conversations like this.
One of the ways we can build that environment is to actually have skilled personnel also in church, right? Who can, in fact, if you don't have that skill, you can actually go out to learn, how to converse with people without, giving off an expression of, oh, you are crazy, what you are doing is stupid, get out of this place, and all of those kind of things, emotional intelligence and the likes, right? So that when they come to us, they have a proper conversation where we talk to them and we are able to communicate the truth of God's word to them without them feeling like God has casted them away, right? God is not angry with them and all of those things. But the reason why a lot of them even attack the church is, partially some cannot handle the truth, but partially is because the church interpretation or the communication of the truth might be very, very harsh, and they cannot understand it. Right, they don't know how to relate and all those kinds. So we need to be able to invest in skills, speaking, communication skills, therapy, deploying new mechanisms on how to get people out of that bondage or out of that thing, right? And also, the church really needs to do a lot of work, right? Because to be honest, whether or not you like it, they are roaming around this side
people,
of.
We're there already, but it's not like we're preparing for the inevitable. It's here, it's right at our doorstep.
So we need to act quick.
We really need to act quick, because one of the things that really marks our generation, one of the things that really marks us Gen Zers is rebellion. It's everywhere. There's this thing. I don't know if I should call it the whispering spirit or something.
Let me just
defy the odds. And it can be a good and bad thing. Because in the productive sense of it, when you're working somewhere, you're doing something and it's already the norm, it's that rebellious spirit in that sense that makes you want to do more than what is already being done. And for some people, you start making barrier breaking things, and you're creating new inventions, you're doing something different, something out of this world, out of the box. But then the flip side is when people start to rebel,
barrier breaking things that
are it's really out of the world, but in the negative sense of it. So we really need we need a strong community that people can fall back in. It's really, really important. This is the time when you don't want to be alone, and we really can't even, genders are even keen on communities. We have FOMO, we don't want to be left out. We want to be in whatever is happening.
Where are you? What's happening?
Let's link up. What's happening here? Let's that's the next happening event in Lagos.
And if you can have like really great tribes and communities and clans where like minds, and we are building something together. They would love that, and they want to emulate like the great stuff there, right? Because they don't want to miss out from what is happening in that particular place. And people begin to pick like great stuff, great character, and all of those things. There are many things that I picked from me joining communities, right, that I was not before, and I'm better for it, right? So
communities are very essential. You can't do life alone. You really, really cannot do life by yourself. And one of the most important things that I've learned in my journey of life as a gender, is that when you're in a community, you have access to so many things that you wouldn't have access to in yourself or in your zone. In your career, you constantly hear people talk about how they are in a fashion community, or you're in a tech community, or you're in like a project management community and all of that, because you have access to information and things that in yourself you cannot get. But when you're around the right people, when you're in the right space, people around you that have access to these things, they bring it closer to you. We always say this thing about how you're one person away from the person you really want to meet. And when you're in the right community, you just have to have the right conversations with people around you, and you get to where you need to get to, I mean, another reason why community is really important is that it really helps you for people that, struggle with being depressed, or, sometimes you just struggle with being in your own zone and you don't really know how to get out of that place. Your community is there to encourage you, and it's not so far away like community. When we say community, we can think of like a whole neighborhood. No, I mean, your closest friends are your community. Your roommate is a part of your community. Your family, your church members, your unit members in church, your colleagues in the office. You can have quite a number of communities, and when you constantly have the right people around you, you have people that can hold you when you're down, when you're depressed, when you're in a bad place, when you're somewhere where you really need to get out of. You have people around you that can hold your hands and get you out of that place. So I mean, don't do life alone, do life with a community. That's my motto.
What did we talk about? Having skills in the church and building communities and building a conducive environment, right? Yeah. Even in our services, even in our sermons, even in our conversations, even in our evangelism deployment, right? We need to be able to do all of those things very well, thinking of them in mind, right? Okay, this is how we are going to talk and stuff. And it's not like
dress.
This is how we're going to dress, this is how we're going to look and all, right? So right, I really think that if we start from there, before you know it, people duplicate stuff and you begin to see like growth, right? Growth everywhere in the body of Christ in church and all to these people, and all those rebellion, they begin to channel that rebellion into something more positive, right? That can even help impact the world.
Inside, there's a lot, And I think, like you said, communities is the key.
Very important.
It's the key to helping people get out of whatever space that they are in right now. And I can't wait for the next episode. We're going to really touch a lot on how communities actually help make and mark people in that sense. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for that episode.
I really love what is happening right now.
So you guys, you should really tune in next time. The episode is going to be amazing. We may or may not have a guest. Let's leave that for them to guess.
Yeah.
And we have a couple of other amazing things planned for you guys. So